The second type of conditioning that we are going to learn is instrumental conditioning. Right, let's read aloud the learning objective together. 1, 2. You'll be able to define and illustrate positive reinforcement and punishment and negative reinforcement and punishment used in instrumental conditioning. Now, I want you to read aloud the learning objective by yourself. I'm going to give you 5 seconds. Let's read aloud the learning objective one last time. You'll be able to define and illustrate positive reinforcement and punishment and negative reinforcement and punishment used in instrumental conditioning. Let's briefly discuss how instrumental conditioning differs from classical conditioning. Whereas classical conditioning focuses on involuntary response, such as salivation or flinching out of fear, instrumental conditioning focuses on voluntary response. So classical conditioning, according to the classical conditioning, learning is a result of a stimulus that comes before response. However, according to instrumental conditioning, learning is a response to a stimulus that comes after response. So it is contingent on reward or punishment. So we are going to look into the reinforcement and punishment. So according to the instrumental conditioning, behaviors they increase or decrease as a result of consequences of those behaviors. And this is also called as operant conditioning. So there are two types of consequences, which are reinforcers and punishment. By definition, reinforcer increase the behavior, and by using the increasing behavior by using reinforcer is called as reinforcement. So basically, reinforcer is used in reinforcement. Punishment is, by definition, it decreases the behavior. And also, the act of decreasing the behavior by using punishment is also named as punishment. So it can be a little confusing, but just remember that that reinforcers and punishment can either increase or decrease the behavior. We are going to use positive and negative, but in this time, like positive doesn't mean like something good, and negative means something bad. It's kind of purely mathematical term in this case. So after the behavior, if something is presented or added, it is positive. However, after the behavior, if something is removed or taken away, it is negative. So this leads to the 2x2 table, where it's positive reinforcement, positive punishment, negative reinforcement, and negative punishment are in the table. If after the behavior, something is present or added that increases the probability of the behavior occurring again, then it is positive reinforcement. However, if after the behavior, something is presented or added that decreases the probability of the behavior occurring again, then it is called positive punishment. And at the same time, if after the behavior something is removed or taken away that increases the probability of the behavior occurring again, then it is negative reinforcement. But if it's when something is removed or taken away that leads to the decrease of the probability of the behavior occurring again, then it is negative punishment. So I have color coded the table so that you can understand the concept better. So there are positive, you can increase or decrease behavior by adding some reinforcer or by removing reinforcer, by adding punishment or by removing punishment. All right, so then let's look at each type of instrumental conditioning. So first and foremost, we're going to look at positive reinforcement. So again, stimulus is presented or added after certain kind of behavior. And if you want to increase the behavior, that behavior would probably be desirable, right? This is the target behavior that your students, that you want your students to engage in. And as a result of positive reinforcement, that behavior is repeated. So if it can also be stated as you're rewarding students after they engage in a desirable behavior. Like it's quite commonly used in everyday classroom, like giving students a piece of candy for working quietly, or you can give them some kind of praises. And there are different types of reinforcer. So reinforcing stimuli can be extrinsic, like concrete reinforcers such as stickers or snack. It can be social reinforcer, like praise and commenting. It can also be an activity, like some game activities or the activities that students like. It can also be token or positive feedback. However, reinforcer can also be intrinsic. Students may increase the frequency of behaviors because they feel pleasure or satisfaction. Now let's look at the negative reinforcement. So again, in this time, something is removed after a behavior in order to repeat the behavior in order to increase the frequency of behavior. So in this case, the stimulus is likely to be aversive and something that students do not like. So if it can also be stated that you're removing undesirable stimuli in order to reinforce the target behavior. For instance, you can give students a homework pass because they work quietly for the entire class period. What do you think about this example? Giving students a homework pass. Do you like it? Do you have your past teachers in K-12 setting use this negative reinforcement a lot? Actually, there are several things that we should consider for negative reinforcement. Teachers use negative reinforcement rarely, because if you give homework pass as like a negative reinforcement, what kind of messages are you sending about the value of homework? You're kind of implying that homework is something that should be avoided. Like for instance, if you say that you don't need to clean because you do well in the classroom work today, what kind of message that you give to students about cleaning? So ideally, we should create a classroom environment where there are few stimuli that students want to escape. So a tip is that we should negative reinforcement very sparingly. Right, and there are several things to consider for reinforcement. Children, we should always, as we have learned at the very beginning of our semester, we need to consider students' developmental stages. So, and children of different ages are reinforced by different stimuli. Younger children may prefer some concrete reinforcers, like candies and chocolates, while older children may prefer social reinforcers, such as like positive feedback or like praises. And older children can delay gratification, while younger children prefer immediate reinforcement. And I'm going to show you the video that illustrates this point.
Okay, so I have this marshmallow, and you can eat it now, or if you wait a little bit, I'll bring back 2 for you, okay? How you doing, Sam? Good, you've been eating. Okay, well, I'm gonna go and, I haven't found marshmallows yet, so I'm gonna look for some more, but you stay here, and if you haven't eaten that one, I'll bring you back another one, okay? I'll be right back.
Well, you're eating, not waiting for her to get back. Wait. Still ate some of it, so she's still not gonna get the joke. Let's stay in your chair.
Here it comes.
There.
Oh, what happened?
So we can see from the video why younger children may prefer immediate reinforcement because they have difficulties delaying gratification. And with this cute video, I want to move on to a little bit of different instrumental conditioning, which is punishment. And punishment has more controversy and more things to think about when it comes to using it. So positive or negative punishment. So positive, or here, in order to not make you feel confused, I use the word presentation, but it means positive punishment. So when presenting a new stimulus following an undesirable behavior, again, punishment is something that decreases the frequency of behavior. So you are presenting probably a aversive stimulus because you want to reduce the frequency of behaviors. So for instance, students are talking during a test, but they stop when teachers scold it, because scolding is usually an aversive stimulus. Negative punishment, or here I named it as removal punishment, you are removing something following behavior in order to decrease that behavior. So in this case, the stimulus would be probably something that students like. So for instance, students are talking during a test. This is definitely not a desired behavior, right? So you want to decrease that behavior, and you have by taking the recess away, which is recess is a positive stimulus, you are decreasing the undesirable behavior, which is talking during a test. So there have been many research about punishment, surprisingly, and these consequences are, found to be effective usually, like verbal reprimands such as scolding, response cost, like loss of reinforcer, and some logical consequence like you should replace something that you stole, or like positive practice overcorrection. So I think many of you might have some experiences in elementary school. So you ran in the corridor, and this is something that you should not do in a corridor because it's not safe. So you should go back and you should walk back to the classroom, or time out. Especially, I think I kind of I used this punishment when I was a middle school teacher, especially during the game activity. If the students did not behave well, and I think it was quite effective. So they had to sit away from classmates and watch while their classmates are engaging in a fun activity, or in-school suspension. So these are the punishments that are generally found to be effective. However, there are some consequences that can undermine desired behavior change, or that can even interfere. Physical punishment, psychological punishment, extra classwork, and out-of-class suspension. So these four are found to be, according to the research, not as very effective as the consequences mentioned in the previous slide when it comes to decreasing the frequency of undesired behavior. And there's some consequences with mixed results, which are missing recess and after-school detention. These consequences sometimes are effective and sometimes are not, and I can see why they are sometimes effective and sometimes are not. Like as a teacher, I don't think I would never use missing recess as a punishment, because like students need to rest in order to function well during the class, and if we deprive them of these opportunities, it would be hard for them to concentrate and pay attention in class. And again, after school detention, like if you are using some kind of detention, like after school detention as punishment, we are kind of sending another message that like, oh, school is a place that is not good, and you have to stay because you did something wrong. Like school is a terrible place, and you need to leave early as possible by behaving well. So it also kind of gives some kind of negative images to the school. Right, now that you have learned the different types of reinforcement and punishment, I want you to engage in discussion activity. Please refer to the instruction.